All your heart, with all your might, with all your soul. Love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Where you stand, where you lie, when you walk, and when you rise. Rise up, raise your voices, rise up, lift them.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Wertheimer. I'm VP for Education on the board for Congregation Near to Mead, and I'm happy to announce some upcoming features for Congregation Near to Mead. First, adult education classes for January continue next week. On Wednesday nights, January 20th and 27th, Rabbi Axelrod will be teaching the Jewish way in death, dying, and living. Please register for Rabbi Axelrod's course at www.lvnarratamid.org in order to receive the Zoom information. On Tuesday nights, January 19th and 26th, Rabbi Olshine, CNT's resident rabbinic scholar, will be teaching Reform Judaism, who we have been, who we are, and why we do what we do. Please go to www.lvnarratamid.org for more information on how to join for Rabbi Olshine's course. Our Cooking with Cantor series continues on Thursday, January 28th at 6:30 p.m. with special guest Chef Heather Seltzer. We will be making pomegranate cupcakes to celebrate Tu B'Shavat. Registration is on our website and ingredient list will be up next week. Congregant of the Year and new member Shabbat has been postponed. We look forward to announcing a new date when we get closer.
Hi, I'm Deanna DeArkland, and I am the education trustee on the board. And I have also a few announcements. Social Action Study Group with Rabbi Olshine will be Tuesdays at 7 p.m. The first one will be February 2nd and will be about Just Mercy, but Brian Stevenson. Please see the Near to Mead website for registration information. Religious school reminder, there is no religious school this weekend in honor of Martin Luther King Day, and classes will resume next week. As always, please check the temple website, lvneartomead.org, for all upcoming programs, classes, and happenings at CNT.
Oh yeah, and don't forget about the Sisterhood Tu B'Shavat Seder next Thursday. So please register for Zoom information.
Shalom Aleichem.
Let's welcome the Shabbat angels.
All right. Page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Marchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Go ahead, bring out your candlesticks, and we usher in the Shabbat with the mitzvah of kindling the Shabbat lights. Page 120, 121.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness,
Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary, whether in your home or in this space, in need. All who bring the offerings of their heart. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue welcoming in the Shabbat with Lachado D, page 138, 139.
Verses 1, 2, and 9.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem ol tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki hi mekor ha'beracha, mirosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise to greet the Shabbat bride. We face the door.
Boi v'shalom ha'ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emonei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing for the Baruch Hu, page 146.
Adonai,
We turn the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavi.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Avad.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. You may be seated. What do you think about those B'nai Mitzvah students out there?
I want to see some selfies of them leading Ve'ahavta, because I think they need to be preparing for their B'nai Mitzvah, even though they're not here with us tonight. So sing along with me, chant along with me, and send me a video, and I want to check it out.
All right.
Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Continue on page 164, 165 with the Amidah. Please rise if you're able. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fia tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov.
Continue in silent devotion through page 180 using the words on the right or the left side of the page or the words within your heart. When you have completed your prayers, please be seated. We turn to page 371 for our Misha Berach prayer.
There's a heaven. It's easy if you try. Beauty all around us. Surround us, Adonai.
So many of us who have loved ones that we're thinking of at this time. And so we ask that God brings strength and courage to those who are facing illness, and that God bring to those who are caregivers patience and courage and strength as well. As we think of all those who are part of our circle of friends and family and loved ones, we join together in our Misha Berach prayer.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am so honored to be here tonight on our Martin Luther King Jr. Shabbat, where we are talking about topics dealing with justice in our world. I thought I'd start tonight with a couple of quotes from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, just to give some context as to why we are having a conversation with our special guest. So I'll start with those. So first, he said, "I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion But the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice. And the second one that I wanted to start with tonight, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Anyone who lives inside the US can never be considered an outsider anywhere in the country. He also finished that quote by saying, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny." All three of those come from letter from the Birmingham jail. And so now it's my great honor to introduce you to Talmedge Hayes, who is here with me via Zoom from Boynton Beach, Florida, back where I used to live, and that's how I got connected to Talmedge. So Talmedge, I'm just going to let you tell your story because I know a little bit about it. But can you tell us a little bit about how your growing up years? Tell us, where do you come from, and tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yes, so I was born and raised in Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida. My dad died when I was 9 months old, so I was raised in a single parent household. I figured that when at the age of 16, I started to hang out with older guys, and hanging out with those older guys, we started to commit armed robberies of restaurants. There were 5 armed robberies of restaurants, 1 attempted robbery of a restaurant, multiple victims. So I was 16 at the time. I had 4 co-defendants, 2 were 19 and 2 were 20. So we all were arrested for, it probably was maybe 9 to 10 charges, armed robbery, attempted robbery, aggravated battery, and grand theft auto. So these guys, they pretty much started, well, I say in one of the incidents, someone was shot at, and in another incident, someone was shot in the leg. So after we were arrested, a couple of guys turned state witness, and they basically said that, Talmedge was the one that pulled the trigger in each of the incidents. And so those guys, I could tell you, leading up to the time for trial, they gave me a court-appointed attorney, and this court-appointed attorney, he never went to a deposition to argue, or to get information of the people that were saying that I actually committed this crime. So on the morning of, before trial, those charges ballooned up to 57 charges. That was 39 armed robberies, 15 attempted robberies, 1 RICO charge, 2 attempted murders, and a grand theft auto. That's all of the charges. So on the morning of jury trial, the attorney that I had, he told me that it would be in my best interest to plead no contest to all of the charges so we could argue for a lesser sentence because they were seeking life. And I did that, and subsequently was given life in prison without parole.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 16 at the time of the crime. I was 17 when I went to prison.
And so you were a juvenile in the eyes of the law, is that right?
Yes, I was a juvenile in the eyes of the law. And out of the 57 charges, the judge sentenced me to 34 life sentences, which all ran concurrent to one another. My adult co-defendants, 1 received 9 years with 3 minimum mandatory. The next received 30 with 9 minimum mandatory. The third one received 30 with 21 minimum mandatory, and the fourth received 45 with 15 minimum mandatory.
And you are the only one that received life without the possibility of parole.
The only one that received life without possibility of parole. So the year was 1989. When I went to prison, I got my high school diploma. I got my high school diploma. I did a I did a little bit of auto mechanics. And then I began to work for PRIDE, which is Prison Rehabilitated Industries and Diversified Enterprises. They teach inmates job skills to be utilized for when they are released from prison. And there's a number of different things that they do to help inmates once they're released.
Now, you went ahead and did this even though you had a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And in Florida, it actually meant life without the possibility of parole, right?
Yes, it meant life without parole. Whenever I was to be released, that would be when I die. So at PRIDE, they start people off at 15 cents per hour. You can make up to 55 cents per hour.
But you still went to work every day, right?
But I still went to work. I wanted to learn those, some skills, along with, I had to utilize my time in an effective way. And I had guys tell me, jitterbug, learn as much as you can learn in here because you don't know when you get out that can become your career, which it is right now. And I'll get into that in a moment.
Okay.
So in 1995, I started working for PRIDE up until my release in 2016. In the year 2009, the Equal Justice Initiative they had an article in the paper. Mr. Brian Stevenson, he had an article in the paper that they were going to the United States Supreme Court to argue that you can't give a juvenile life without parole for a non-homicide. And I saw this article in the USA Today. So I asked my sister to give me the address and the phone number of the Equal Justice Initiative. And she was able to provide me that information. I sat down and wrote Mr. Stevenson everything I thought I needed to tell him and everything I wanted to tell him. So they didn't initially help me from the beginning because they have a lot of folks that ask for their assistance. But they told me just hang out and they'll let me know if they can help me. The case Graham versus Florida, which is United States Supreme Court case, it was decided May the 17th of 2010. And I wrote Mr. Stevenson again and asked him, I said, this case sounds like it will benefit me. What should I do? They said, wait a minute, don't do anything. Just send us paperwork and we'll see how we can help you out. So the ball got rolling. I was resentenced. I have several consultations with staff from that office. And then in June of 2012, I was resentenced to a term of years, which was 75 years plus 5 years. Now, my sentence was supposed to be imposed nunc pro tunc, which means being sentenced now for then. And I didn't have a consecutive sentence, so by her splitting the sentence to make it 80 years, I left the courtroom with that sentence. And the judge that resentenced me is now Ashley B. Moody, who is Florida's Attorney General. And so I had to go back to prison to serve a little more time. But under the system that I was under, I get a third off of my sentence and I serve like 65% of that time. So my release came on April the 1st of 2016.
So how many years total did you serve?
That is 27 years, which is 27 years, 1 month and 2 days, 9,894 days.
So you didn't get off light for your behavior. You served your time for your behavior.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yeah. Prior to my release, they have the A. Brown Ministries of Hillsborough County, and they've been going in the prison system since I believe it's 1978, and bringing the gospel of God and helping folks with reentry issues. Pretty much everything reentry, bus passes, clothes, shoes, coach them, talk about job skills, just a lot of different things that they would do to help a person, return to society. So I went to the Ready for Work Hillsborough program, which helped me with some of what I was able. It helped me to reintegrate back into society.
Fantastic.
While I was at the A. Brown Ministries Ready for Work class, Pride Transition Specialist told me that there was a job open in Palm Beach County.
So that's on the other side of the state for people who aren't familiar with Florida, right?
Yes, it's on the other side of the state. So I I I put in to interview for the job. 100 people, 100 people filled out applications for the job. They interviewed 8 people. I was the last of the 8 they interviewed. I got the job.
So tell us how you got the job, because I think it's a beautiful part of your story. With Pride Industries, you received different kinds of certifications. Is that right?
Yes. When I first started for Pride, I was a vinyl hand cutter, gold leaf printer, which is gold stamping. I transferred from Cross City Correctional Institution and went to Sumter Correctional Institution and started doing offset printing, which is, running cutters, running printing, various types of printing presses, web presses, offset presses, just it's a lot of different things, even for a color process. um I don't remember, perforation, making books. It was just a lot of different things. So I cross-trained in a lot of different areas to try to familiarize myself, because I knew that by reading books and magazines, that if I knew how to do more, once I uh, interview for a job and I'm able to tell the supervisor that I know how to do all these different things, I'll be more valuable to this business versus someone that just know how to do probably 1 or 2 things. So my supervisor, Mr. John Johnson, I thank God for him, because he does business with South Bay, the South Bay prison, Pride Prison, and he knew how Pride teaches inmates and bring them along. So in order for me to accept this job, I had to find a place to stay. My attorney, Tatiana Birch, was at the Equal Justice Initiative, but she was currently working for the PD office of Palm Beach County.
Public defenders.
Public defenders.
Yes.
And so Tatiana talked to Ms. Carrie Howard. Ms. Carrie Howard talked to Miss Diana Stanley. Ms. Diana Stanley gave me a place to stay at the Lord's Place rent-free for a year.
Beautiful.
And
And
that's
Lord's Place does amazing work with helping people in transition in their lives, and they have a specific reentry program. So you couldn't have taken the job unless you had a place to stay, right?
correct. I needed a place to stay.
So before we go, I just want to ask you a couple more things. One, I understand that we could call you a movie star now. So tell us a little bit about your movie experience.
Okay, so one of my attorneys, Jennifer Taylor, she texted me. She says, Talmedge, have you ever thought about being in a movie? I was like, no, I never really gave it any thought. She says, so they're making Just Mercy into a movie. I was like, no, ma'am, I didn't. She says, so Brian Stevenson was asked by the director, Daniel Destin Creighton, would he like to have any of his clients in the movie? And Brian gave him your name. She said, well, would you like to do that? I was like, yeah. So needless to say, I was given the 5-star treatment. They sent the chauffeur vehicle over here to pick me up from my apartment, take me to the airport. We did our part of the movie in a part of Atlanta. I had a chance to meet Michael B. Jordan. I seen Jamie Foxx from a distance. They gave us our own trailer to, dress out, and we pretty much just was treated like royalty.
Wow, what a great experience. What a great experience. By the way, I still remember you in the film. So if any of our Near to Me members watch the film, you will recognize this fine man in his screen debut in Just Mercy.
And they sent me a shirt that's Just Mercy Film Crew.
So you have good souvenirs from the experience, don't you?
Yes.
Not just your memories. That's right. By the way, you are on Internet Movie Database. So if you type in your name, it comes up under IMDb, which is where all the movie stars' jobs are listed. Talmedge Hayes is right in there too. So yes. All right. So I just want to share a little bit for all of our members at Near to Me, why it was so important for everyone to hear your story, Talmedge. And that is, we are starting up this social justice study group that is going to happen. The first meeting is going to happen on February 2nd at 7 o'clock. And we are going to be reading Just Mercy as the first book. I do tell people that the book has more information in it than the movie does. So the movie focuses on the narrative, and we're going to be talking a lot about the systemic issues that are found in the book, so that we can understand better. And so what's the connection to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King? I have two more quotes before I ask for Talmedge's final comments. One, Dr. King said, "Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than the absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection." And so we have to educate ourselves. And then the last one, it's a very famous quote, again, from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. "The question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists we will be. Will we be extremists for love, for hate, or for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice?" And so with justice in mind, Talmedge, the last thing I want to ask you, you have a newspaper there, if I'm not mistaken, that shows the impact of this life sentence for juveniles in the state of Florida before the United States Supreme Court case. Can you pick that up and explain what that picture is? Hold it up, and then I don't know if people can really see it, but can you describe what it says right underneath it? How many people are listed in that picture, that collage?
So this is out of the 77 juveniles at the time in 2010 that were serving life without parole for a non-homicide. 76 are Black.
Okay, so go ahead and pull that back down because your microphone was covered. So you said there were 77 juveniles serving life sentences without the possibility of parole back in 2010 in Florida before that Supreme Court case. And how many of the 77 did you say were Black?
76.
76. So will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice, as Dr. Martin Luther King said? I'm going to let you close us out today because I think you have a couple of quotes that are sort of life mantras for you, or very meaningful quotes. Would you mind sharing those with everyone?
Sure. So a lot of folks, they will come out of prison, bitter and, angry and hate, a lot of hate and whatnot. So I spent 27 years in prison, the same as Mr. Nelson Mandela. So I did, adopted one of his quotes for myself. "As I walk out of these gates towards my freedom, I need to learn to leave all the bitterness, anger, and hatred behind, or I'll still be in prison." And so to me, I was trying to understand, what do they mean, that I'm out of prison. So there are people that are walking in the streets right now and in the society that are still in prison in their own mind. So I just need to learn to love people, no matter what their background is, and, just show love and whatnot. The other one is always do right. It will gratify some and astonish the rest.
It's just a beautiful way to end our conversation. Talmedge Hayes, thank you so much for spending this time with me and with all the members of Congregation Near to Me. You are a blessing, and I am so happy to hear your story so that people can learn from all of your experiences. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, ha'tesh v'dula li'otzer b'reshit, shelo asanu pigui ha'ratzot, v'lo sabanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kecho hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, hayom ha'o, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Our cottage prayer is found on page 598. If you'd like to share with the community names of loved ones who have passed on, please put their names in our chat.
ידיד נפש, אף הרחמן משוך עבדך אל רצונך. ירוץ עבדך כמו אייל, ישתחווה אל מול עטרך. ידיד נפש, ידיד.
We think for a moment of those who are part of our lives, who inform our values, who've given us love, as we join together in our cottage prayer. Yit Kadal v'Yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah, v'Yalma Divrach Chirutei v'Yamlich Malchutei, v'Chayechon v'Yomechon v'Chayedechol Beit Yisrael, v'Agala b'Zman Kariv Yimru Amen. Yeshmei Rabbah Mevorach le'olam Omei Almaya, Yit Barach v'Yishtabach v'Yit Pa'ar v'Yit Romam v'Yit Naseh, v'Yit Hadar v'Yit Haleh v'Yit Halal Shmei Dekusha B'Richu, Leila Min Kol Berchata v'Shirata, Tush Bechata v'Nechemata, Damiram B'Yalma v'Yimru Amen. Yehi Shlom Rabba min Shammai v'Chayim, Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Yimru Amen. Osei Shalom b'Ramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Yimru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. All right. Let's have a little challah, a little wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Amen.
All right, a little baby hollers.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Right.
It almost looks like a bagel, but it's a
Not a
challah.
bagel, it's a challah.
Oseh shalom b'brama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, hey, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh shalom b'broma, Oseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.